Welcome to an Aries and Pisces walk into a coffee shop, the podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Bridget, she, her.
And I'm Tiffany, she, her. This is a podcast where two friends let go of perfectionism and talk unedited.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm really enjoying that top of yours and the peekaboo.
Thank you. Yes, this feels like a hug. It is the coziest thing. We went from 80 to 50 and now it's 40.
Yes.
And so my building hasn't put the radiator on yet because, I don't know, 2 days ago it was 80. So it was freezing and it's like double layered and it feels like I feel hugged just sitting here. It's the best.
I like that for you. I like
I
that a
found
lot.
it thrifting with Christy and I love it.
I love that even more. I have an important question. Do you can't control your heat in your place?
No, so it's radiator. It's an old building, so it's like the whole building gets turned on. But I did hear it clicking earlier, so I think that they might have just turned it on. But the last couple of days it hasn't been on.
Oh.
And I was just discussing this with some Chicago folks yesterday. I have to look it up, but there's like different rules. So it's like legally they have to put it on by a certain calendar date, or if the temperature is, I think, below 50 for a set amount of times in a row. So we've been all up and down because we live in the Midwest. So it was like 80 and then it was 50 and then it was 60 and then it was like dropped down to 40, but then it got up to 60 again. So it's like, I don't know what the rules are and if it changes depending on like where you are in the city or if it's all of the city. I don't know. I just got here. But it's included in the rent. So like I don't pay for heating. It's just it's just rolled in.
But you don't get to pick it.
I don't get to pick.
That's hard.
No.
That's hard.
Yeah, the last couple of days have been a lot of layers.
Yeah.
And luckily I have a excellent lab cat familiar. So I've had that, but it was pretty frigid, I think would be. I was like, is that an exaggeration? But no, it was frigid. My feet were so fucking cold.
I can only imagine, like, especially at night. It was so cold here last night. I could only imagine.
I mean, once I'm sleeping, it's fine because I put my heating pad under the blankets before I go to bed. And so I heat up like where I'm going to be laying and then I crawl in and like burrito up with like all my layers and my weighted blanket. And then Ingrid comes and like lays on top of me. So by the time I'm falling asleep, excellent. I'm so toasty. I'm fine the whole night because I'm just like swaddled. But it's like the walking around my house part later in the day that I don't enjoy. Because you know me, I don't want to be wearing a lot of clothes, but I have to because it's cold.
This is what I really hate about the cold weather. I also don't want to be wearing a lot of clothes. And I've been taking them off and putting them back on like all morning long. And it's too confusing for me.
Yeah. The Midwest probably isn't for you then.
No, it's not, indeed.
It's just not ideal.
It's not at all. No. I want to be able to like wear a thing that I can like wear like throughout the whole day, that I like know what it's gonna be.
I was scrolling through stories and someone was like at an outdoor music festival and they were filming their partner dancing who was like in a cutoff t-shirt. And my brain went like zzz because it's like 40 here. And I was like, oh, they live in California. Right. It's fine to be in the autumn with your cutoff at an outdoor music festival standing in the sunshine. It's fine.
I wish I knew what that felt like. So we took like a month off of recording podcasts, but we had such an excellent backlog of them, so it didn't seem like we took time off, but this has caught us back up to, um, what is this? The beginning of October? Almost the
Yes,
middle? This is that
just in time for another round of fun astrological nonsense.
what's happening now? What's,
Eclipse season. Eclipse
oh,
season's happening. So we have an eclipse in Libra no, not 2 weeks, 1 week. 1 week from now. But like so now we're kind of like in the shadow period of it. Um and there's like a series of eclipses that will be happening. From what I've read so far, it sounds like it's just integrating a lot of the things that have already been going on. Like
mm,
the major shift has been there was a lot of themes between Taurus and Scorpio, which are on opposite axis points, but now that's switching to Aries and Libra. So, as an Aries, you'll probably be feeling a lot of that shift. It's
I
about balancing yourself and others. So, what you need and want balanced with your partnerships, relationships, and like society stuff,
okay. Yeah. That
which
seems
I'm trying to be excited about because collectively, that could be bomb. Like, collectively, balancing that sounds excellent. It'll probably hurt first, but I think it'll feel good later. Interpersonally, I feel like I've been dealing with themes like that with the Venus retrograde, and I'm not a fan. I know it's
mhm,
necessary, but I hate it.
yeah.
Um,
I think that I've felt that way about so many things, this year.
mhm.
I've hated it, but I guess it's necessary.
Well, I think that's why we've been talking about energetic boundaries so much,
Mm,
which I didn't think about until recently. Like you and I have been talking about that for like months on end, and I feel like with this astrological shift, that is a big part of it.
mm,
That idea of well, Libra is all about harmony. So like harmonizing the what seems paradoxical, like, you know, taking care of yourself to take care of the other.
mhm,
Um And it seems like a lot of other people are feeling that too, because like the synchronicity of how many other people have started talking about energetic boundaries, like in the last couple of weeks. I mean, at least I'm noticing a difference. I don't know if it's that bias where, oh, what is that called? There's a term for it, where because you are aware of something, now you see it everywhere.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, I don't know if it's that or if it's just we're all feeling the shift and kind of having that come to the forefront right now.
Mhm. In my mind, you were saying that we're all feeling the shift, but in my mind, you were saying
Hmm.
we're all feeling the shit. And I was like, yeah, we are. We're
It's not
all
wrong. I mean, it's kind of felt like that to me. I don't know how everyone else is doing out there. Well, I do know how some people are doing, and they also are having a time. But I'm sure there's a people out there that are just doing fine, probably. Statistically speaking,
my
someone has to be
goodness.
doing fine,
Someone
right?
right, right, right. I did listen to a couple of those moonbeaming podcasts that you
Mm.
sent to me that when she was specifically talking about the energetic boundaries. Um, and I found those to be interesting. I had to listen to the one twice because I had listened to it and I thought, that's very impactful. And then I literally couldn't remember a single thing.
I also had to do that. I think it's just because it's really hard and we're both overloaded.
That's probably right. I didn't like write anything down to
Hmm.
reference. I was listening to it probably while I was like getting ready and yeah. Or also I think that like afterwards I was hoping for some very specific concrete action steps of things to do. And so I listened back to it with that in mind. And I think that like what she gave was not what I wanted to hear.
Oh,
That
can
kind
you
of a
remind
like
me?
yeah, so this was
I remember it was about protection magic.
yes, it was the episode where she was talking about one of the exercises being to go out and practice out in person with people. So, like going to a coffee shop and maybe you're like interacting with the barista and you notice that the barista is maybe seems like a little off, but that is your perception of how that barista is feeling. And maybe that barista was like out all night making out with somebody and had a great time and is, somewhere else in their head, like thinking about it and about how tired they are. But you
Mhm.
picked it up as, whatever. Oh, like what my brain would be like, oh, like they don't like me. They think I'm whatever. And so
Mhm.
she's like, notice those things of like in practice and
Yeah.
do that practice and check in with what your internal dialogue is saying in those scenarios and do it for 30 days and 90 days. And then I was like, oh dear God. I was like, no, just tell me that I can like listen to this meditation
You want the
tomorrow
quick
and
fix?
like boom.
Am I remembering correctly that part of that was she recommended to literally just name facts without the story?
Yes, I think that was in the next episode
Okay.
with
Yeah, so the
the
next episode was a
archetypes.
little bit right.
Yeah.
Yes, the
I
shadow
listened to that this
archetypes.
morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that one as well because I've also been thinking about shadow work with energetic boundaries and with challenging my anxiety because I have an anxious attachment style. Oh, and I'm working on it.
Yeah, I felt like this was all like once I realized what the action steps were, like when I
Mhm.
listened to it again, um I or maybe I'm just like putting it all together now. I'm like, holy shit, this is exactly I think like what I had just talked about in therapy with
Yeah.
my therapist about feeling like this huge like anxiety and we were working through a specific EMDR target like a future template
Mhm.
of an appointment like having to go to this appointment and she had asked me how I felt going into like appointments with her. And I've been seeing
Oh.
her for 3.5 years and she's like, do you still get that anxious feeling for our appointments? And I said yes. I said, I don't get it in the same way though, because like that to me is like, it's like doing this with you. I'm
Mhm.
not getting like nervous or anxious about it. Like, I love you. I want to talk to you. This is
Mhm.
like, yes, of course, this is what I'm doing. Like, but, but I, but she asked about like the waiting room and I was like, yes, that's where I have it. Like when I'm sitting there and like
Right.
waiting. And she was asking me what my like internal dialogue was. And I was like, fuck. There is gotta be so much more of that internal dialogue because I had told her about I think I told you about this just on our own when I was skating
Mhm.
and I was gonna go down that ramp and I realized that, like, it was something I was enjoying, however, I wasn't enjoying it, and I
Mhm.
realized it was because there was an internal dialogue playing in the back of my mind saying a bunch of, like, judgments and things
Right.
that I was like, "Oh, I don't actually, like, believe these things, like, why don't I just, like, let myself enjoy this the way that I'm doing it right now? I don't have to do it a different way, I don't have to do it better or more skillfully, I can just do it how I'm doing it and let that be okay." And now I'm, like, starting to realize, holy shit, this internal dialogue is huge. It's, like, probably way bigger than I realized, and the way that, Sarah was talking about it on Moonbeaming was like,
Mhm.
that is like draining your energy.
Yeah.
That is where the energetic boundaries need to be. And I was like, I think that I never thought of energetic boundaries in that way.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I didn't I didn't ever I wouldn't have thought of them in that way. To me, like, the energetic boundary is very like, oh, I'm picturing a thing around myself so that
Oh,
you can't like get
interesting.
in it. And it wasn't like, oh wait, the energetic boundary is literally like it's a thing that's already in here that I need to work
Mm-hmm.
with, not like a thing that I need to necessarily always, because it could also be that of like, I need a protective thing around me
Yeah,
for
it's
a
a both
situation.
and.
Right.
Right.
But I hadn't considered, or I didn't know how to consider that that is what it could
Mm-hmm.
be. And that is maybe that is what I need. And I have been
Yeah.
focusing on the other kind
Right.
and wondering why it wasn't doing the thing.
Interesting. Yeah, and I again that like the magic of a paradox. Oh, you do an internal energetic boundary like with yourself for yourself, and most likely that will help strengthen when you're doing it externally with someone
Hmm.
else. So to
Hmm.
go out, you have to go in. That makes a lot of sense to me. I had been working with the energetic boundary idea because I was noticing, well, I call them the thought spirals. So it's like when my brain snags on one thing and then I've lost I don't know how much time or sleep because I've just spiraled deep down into this worry rabbit
Hmm.
hole of anxiety. And what I was realizing and talking with my therapist about was how draining it was because what I found myself doing is having conversations with people that never happened,
Hmm.
redoing interactions that I couldn't undo. And I was finally like, oh, this is a waste of time. And I recognized it as a way, there's a part of my brain that was trying to protect me by being like, if we prepare for every worst case scenario or nitpick how everything went in the past, we can learn from it and somehow control the future. And I'm like, inaccurate. That's not how any of this works. I see
Uh-huh.
what you're trying to do, but I'm exhausted.
Uh-huh.
And so I kept on doing these like visualizations of like, instead of pouring a steady stream out of myself with these thought spirals, trying to reverse the flow. And then that turned into a river metaphor where it's like, oh, if the river's going that way, I need to make it go the other way. And then I was like, oh, I have to figure out a different way to think about it because you can't change the way a river's flowing. So then I had to like, I'm still working on it. I haven't found the thing that works for me yet.
Yeah.
But I think about it a lot. And right now it's mostly that's why that protection magic episode with moonbeaming really landed because I think it gave me validation. It gave me some practical things to think about. And also this basically a permission slip that if you're noticing and as long as you're noticing, the more you notice, that is enough. That's enough. Like that's
Hmm.
starting the process of like
Hmm.
interrupting that flow out and away.
Hmm.
Um, it's really fucking hard.
It is. It is so hard. It is so hard. And I know that that all too well. So it was very interesting to me to hear you think of like how you were visualizing it and trying to figure out how to visualize it in another way. That has been it's been coming up for me, the like worry spirals. Um I know I had talked to my therapist years ago about this because I was doing the same thing where I would go over like situations and it was like I was like explaining to her that I physically like in every part of me feels like I'm going through this situation
Yep.
in real time, but it's literally not happening, like
Uh huh.
and I also realized like I'm like oh my god, yeah, this is completely exhausting me. And I'm trying to think of what she gave me to like shut it down, because she was like,
Mm.
there's um there's value in exploring something, right? So if you have a conversation with somebody and you're like, oh, I didn't like how that went, and then you go over the conversation in your mind, see what you can get out of it and whatever, that's fine. But then when you do that for a half an hour straight, and then you do it 5 more times, and
Yep.
then you're still doing it through, and she's like, if there's no new information, then it's not like helpful to you. So go ahead, do it once, see what you get out of it. But if when you find yourself doing it again, ask the question, has there been new information? Has there been a new, like thing that has happened in this scenario that I need to review the new information? And
Mm-hmm.
the answer is most likely nearly always no, there's no new information. So then that's when I give myself permission to say, like, okay, I see what you're doing. There's no new information. I don't need to do this again. We're going to stop and like try to go on to another thing. So that
Yeah.
was something that was helping me for a while. I haven't necessarily been using it lately because I think I completely forgot about it. So thank you for the reminder. Um,
That's what these are for, these conversations, aren't they? They're bringing us all the way back around again and
yeah,
again and again. Happy,
yeah.
happy spirals.
Um, right. The like the spirals that are moving like upwards, not downwards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, yeah, and I think I hadn't thought of that lately, but what I have been thinking about with these like spirals of like I'm just worrying out of control about situations. Um, and I'm wondering where did it go, or how can I cultivate it? But the dreaming, the like wanting to like dream about something that I want in my life that is feels exciting and nourishing and like that I want to move towards. And instead I have just been worrying about those things. It's like a very like lack or scarcity. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I want this thing in my life. And maybe at one point it was like, oh my God, this was so exciting. And like it felt really fun to like plan for it or do things to move towards it. But now it's just like, I don't have that thing. Like, I can't be okay till I have that thing. I'm never going to get that thing. I'm never going to get there. And all of those, like, I'm finding myself in the worries of all of
Mm-hmm.
that instead. And I'm like, I just want to dream. I just want to have
Mm-hmm.
like an exciting like dream. I don't want to continue down the worry spiral. I want to go
Yeah.
up the imaginative spiral.
Mm-hmm. It does make sense though, because it's a learned protective mechanism. It's maladaptive, like it doesn't serve us, but at a time it did. Like our brains were trying to find ways to protect us. So it did emotionally make logic sense to try to prepare for what can happen.
Mm.
And I think it also made sense to be very, so there's like this fine line between like discernment and then it like tips over into just like critical judgment. And one of the things that I've been working with a lot is the protector part that stops me from doing things. Like that part that
Mm.
talks me out of things, criticizes me into freeze response. It's just trying to protect me from like disappointment or failure or having to feel embarrassed or risk taking. And
Mhm.
how how misguidedly sweet. And that's like what I've been trying to lean on, where it's just like instead of like trying to punch this thing into the face like over and over again, being like, your intentions are good, your methods are not helpful. And
Yeah.
like trying, that's like that inviting Mara to tea story, that
Yes.
like demon of just being like, all right, come on in here, go ahead. You're afraid that we're going to fail, embarrass ourselves, get hurt, like be disappointed, be shunned or rejected in some way.
Mhm.
And that's all true. But that's why dreaming, I think, is scary because, like, all that other stuff can happen. And so we're back to self-trust, trusting that when it does happen, I can handle it and it can be fine
Yeah.
because most of me doesn't think that I'll be fine and can handle it.
Right. Fucking hell, that has been so loud for me lately. That protector that you just described. That's the one, and my therapist called me out on it, like, very lovingly, some time ago, some weeks ago or something.
Mhm.
She's like, we've been working together for long enough now that this is what I see just keep happening for you. And I was like, motherfucker.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. They're just trying to help.
God damn it.
Yeah, it's really, really well, it's like again, my theme of, I don't know, the whole year probably, but especially lately, is like that bittersweetness where it's like, oh, I'm working so hard for myself, just in a lot of the wrong ways that just aren't serving
Mm.
right now. And one of the things that I've been focusing on for the self-trust, which is really hard because Protector says, don't show up anywhere unless you got it and you're
Mhm.
resourced and
Mhm.
on and perfect. It's just,
Mhm.
that's what it's saying. It says,
Absolutely.
don't show up unless you
Absolutely.
can be perfect. And
Absolutely.
for me, as someone who is a human being and in fact not perfect because impossible, that meant, how good can you pretend? How strong is the mask today? Are you able to dissociate at will while pretending like you're not to get through? And I didn't know that that's what was going on for a long time, but now the more I reflect and in hindsight, and the more I'm like practicing embodiment and presence and not like repressing and listening to like what's going on, I'm like, oh, that's how you got by, is that it was like just a facade that you put up to like outwardly appear like you got it. And now embodiment's so great. However, I can't dissociate and repress like I used to.
Duh.
So now I have to practice showing up messy. And I don't love that. I like it in theory. I love it when other people do it. But then when it comes to me, I'm like, I have hives. and and then I started realizing, oh, if I don't challenge this, I'm just gonna do what I used to do when I was a kid and not leave the house or my room. And I can't live like that. So I've been slowly but surely being like, yes, I do not feel my best. I'm not doing the best job. Things are happening. Stuff's falling through the cracks. I'm a wreck. But what if I show up not my best and just find out? Maybe I find out what I'm capable of. Maybe it will be okay. Maybe I'll have a moment, an inhale of joy just for a second. Let's see. And so I've been doing that. And I have been getting good results, but oh my God, it is exhausting. And thus I have to lay down about it a lot. But I'm finding out I'm way more capable of things than I realized, and people don't mind when you show up a little messy.
These are good lessons. I think that's why you and I are here right now, right?
Yep.
Isn't that what
Mm-hmm.
this is all about?
Yeah, it is.
Just like right before this, I am sauntering through my house and I am thinking, just thank God that you and I are doing this for me right now, like here today, because I was like, if we were not doing this podcast, we probably wouldn't be having this call right now in the
Right.
middle of our day talking
Mm-hmm.
about these things. It is likely that you and I would still like do this occasionally, right? Because we just do
Mm-hmm.
this anyway. However, it wouldn't be on this like regularly scheduled like thing where we're like checking in with each other um and I was just like, shit, like I really needed this today. And I need
Mm.
the like, the structure and the container and the commitment that we've made to do this. And I was just like, thank God that we have done this for ourselves
Mm.
because like I need it. I need it.
Yeah, it sounds too simple. Like the words are too small. It's good ritual making. We need it.
We need it because we need each other and yeah, and it's also like it's a testament to um showing up for and asking for the things that I know that I need in life, like
Mm.
structure and accountability and like regularity and like things like that. And when I am not doing well or feeling well, those are the first things that I try to like get rid of, right? And to like to isolate and to quit doing things and to not reach out and to um yeah, so it's nice to have this like accountable space of like, oh well, I've got to reach out. I've got to be like, hey, are we doing this thing today? Because there's two of us here that have committed to this thing, and I can't just like, I mean, I could just disappear and not show up, but like that's not. I'm here for very selfish reasons, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Perfect bookend to what I said at the top. Be selfish to serve the other. Because it's not like I'm also not here for selfish reasons, but also getting something out of you being here for selfish reasons.
Right. Because too, I'm not doing this podcast like with myself. So I know that I'm not like coming to my computer and sitting and like recording something by myself. I know that like
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get to talk to you and to see your face, and that makes a whole lot of things better. So
Yeah, I reciprocate that.
also like also knowing just like hearing from other people listening to this,
Mm.
like how impactful it's been to them. And like that to me is just like I that means so much to my heart because I know how much
Yeah.
this means to me and I know how much it means to you and to have that which was also something that we wanted to reflect outward like backward to our, younger versions of ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
to other versions of, like anybody else out there that is also a fucking human and just having to life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really hard. Being incarnated is quite the trip.
We have to drink so much water.
Yeah, we do. And do you know how many times you have to feed this like meat suit?
Oh my
It's
god.
so, it's
All
like
the time.
I constant. Doesn't it feel constant? Like I just fed it and I just like figured
This is
out, oh,
constant.
I have to think about doing that again.
Again today, multiple more times, and then also tomorrow and the next
Just never
day
ending.
and the next day. Um, Speaking of eating and feeding, can I just tell you how excited I am to feed Chippy?
Yes, please. That I wish you could have heard. Maybe I don't wish this for you. The noise that came out of my mouth when you sent me the photo of you and Chippy. Please, let's talk about it.
Okay, okay. So I've been trying to make friends with my backyard chipmunk friend on the deck like all summer, right? Like putting out um walnuts on the like the couch when I was sitting out there. But now I don't go out there in the mornings anymore. So it's just kind of like maybe I'll go out there for a snack or something, or just go out there to like refill the bird seed or like refill the water dishes and put some walnuts out for Chippy. And then I
Mhm.
discovered there are a couple different Chippies. And I think one is maybe a little bit more comfortable with me than the other one.
Mhm.
Um, but the other day, and I think I told you about this when I was putting the walnuts out and I was like squatted down, and the
Uh-huh.
one chipmunk came and then the other chipmunk came, and they don't like to be around each other. So they had a full on like scuffle right under my butt, and they like ran under me. And I was like, this is insane. And they ran off. So I just sat down and I was like, okay, well, if they're going to be around, maybe, like I'll put some walnuts out, I'll hold my hand out, we'll see what happens. And so I got like close where like the chipmunk would come over and like boop my hand. And then
Mhm.
he like gave me a little nibble on my finger the one time.
You got
And
nibbled?
it was the sweetest little nibble. I have a picture of that too. I'll send it to you. Um, And so I've been doing this for like the past like few handful of days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like going out there like around lunchtime or a little bit earlier. And so today I saw that the chipmunk was out there, and so I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out there. And holy heck, this was the day. This was the day that he came, because they would just like come up and like I'd have the walnuts like spread out and then walnuts in my
Mhm.
hand, and I would have my hand on the deck floor just like sitting there. And today he came right up and like got one out of my hand, and then like when as soon as the little cheeks were
Oh.
all full, he'd like run off and then like come right back. So I'm like, where are you? You're literally just putting these down in the garden somewhere.
Mhm.
Like but he was coming back so fast that I would have to like prepare the next like round of walnuts like so quickly. And uh yeah, and then he finally like took one off my hand, and then I would like move my hand up like little
Mhm.
by little, and
Ah!
then he'd like come and like jump up like onto my hand. And one time I did have my other hand out. I was like breaking some of the walnuts because this I
Mhm.
bought they were like bigger pieces than
Yeah.
last time. I had bought like tiny pieces, but they didn't have them. So I had to really break these up, and I had both my hands out, and he was like right there, and I didn't want to scare him off by moving my hand. So I had my right hand down, and he like bit my finger, and I was like, ow.
Ah!
And I like pulled it back, and I was like, that's my fingertip. That's not a walnut. But anyway, yeah, it was very sweet. I held a little chipmunk multiple times today. Um,
Wow.
it was crazy. It was nuts.
Chosen. You got
It was nuts.
chosen.
It was nuts.
Today was the day. Blessed.
Today was the day.
That's
Yeah,
good
so
autumn magic.
that was cool. And I did kind of like I was thinking about it like well, I would like to spend as much time like outside as possible right now because I know that he's gonna go for like his winter's nap in a couple weeks
Mhm.
here soon or in a few weeks. So I know that it's really like I've just got like this month to kind of like spend out there with the chipmunk at least.
Mhm.
Um So that was kind of cool that I was like holding that in my mind, and then I like went out there, and then today like I held him and oh, it was crazy. His feet are so weird and he's so small.
And you got such a beautiful photo.
I got
Like,
all these videos. Wait till you
oh,
see them.
I can't
I got
wait.
him just a million videos, and I just took a screenshot of it
I'm just gonna
because I could.
squeal.
I just had it like I was sitting like cross-legged on the floor, and I had it like just propped in between my legs because I was like, what am I gonna do
Yeah.
here? But it worked well enough.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait till I've got this little feeder thing on my window
Yeah.
now,
How's it been
right
working
here.
out so far?
Nobody has found it yet.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that you know of, right?
well, I
Maybe
keep
they're
looking at the
visiting.
seed. I keep looking at the seed, and
Okay.
I think it looks the same. And I didn't put that much out because it was like raining and who
Yeah.
knows. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm I'm excited about that. So there are things in my life that I have been excited about,
Yeah,
and
you're
it's the
glowing right
and
now.
it's these. I'm also really excited about the prospect of feeding a chickadee out of my hand this year. I feel like this winter is going to be the winter that
Mm-hmm.
happens. And then the my Junkos should be coming back by the end of the month, and that's exciting too. And I got a new bird stick, so we got to put that in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it that feels exciting.
Yeah. I think I do want to try one of the window feeders. Since I don't have any ground to put a stick in. It might be nice because when I moved here in the summer, I felt like there was a lot of bird activity, that while it wasn't close, I was a part of it. Like I heard the cardinal all the time, and um, I really love that, but I haven't heard the cardinal in a long time, and now it's just squirrels that are just screaming for no discernible reason. Remember I told you about it the one day?
Uh-huh.
It's it's a
Oh,
common occurrence now. I don't know if it's the same squirrel or if they're just all like that, but just screaming for long periods of time at nothing I can discern. So it might be nice to like offset that with like some
yeah.
bird time. And especially as it gets colder. Well, I'm gonna try to go outside, but I want to bring the outside closer to me.
Yeah.
So when it's just too hard,
Uh-huh.
maybe I could have outside close to me so I don't have to
Yeah.
go outside to it.
I'm a big fan of that.
I'm not sure where I'd put it though. Maybe probably right here because I have like this chair set right next to the window. So
Okay.
maybe I'd put it there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do
Mhm.
that.
I'm excited for you. I
Thank
just
you.
yeah, I this one that I got was a very affordable option to at least just like try it out. I just got the soap dish that suctions from the dollar store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just my mom had sent me some reel that was like, to do this on a budget, and they got the like toothbrush holder that was like a cup holder also that suctions.
Uh-huh.
And so I went and I was gonna get that, but then the soap dish was like it's more shallow and
Yeah.
like wide, and I was like I don't want to put out a lot of seed at a time. It does have drainage holes in it, which made me feel better. Otherwise I probably would have drilled my own in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I liked this idea better, but it was, yeah, probably like a buck something instead of I don't know, like 15 or 20 bucks or whatever they are.
Yeah.
I do think that if this works out really nicely and I really like it, depending on when I see how the weather hits this side of the
Mm-hmm.
house, I might get one that has the little roof on it.
Yeah.
But this is on the back side of the house. Usually all the weather comes from the front, so it might
Mm-hmm.
be okay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would just uh go that route, and then it's not much of an investment, and you can find out if it how well it works.
Yeah. And it'd be nice to have birds coming closer, for Ingrid too, because she got so
Hmm.
used to checking out the balcony birds and she really loved that.
Yeah.
And she still loves sitting in the windows and she does seem like excited about it. Like she has her routine. She like goes back to certain windows at certain times of the day. But I feel like it'd be good enrichment to have more wildlife for her to check out.
Yes. It's very good kitty TV.
Mm-hmm. She does like looking out the window though, because there are people that like walk by with their dogs a lot, and I think that
Mm.
is part of what she likes checking out. Um, but well, I was about to say that might slow down, but probably not. Dogs have to be walked all year round,
Yeah.
which is why I don't have one.
Yeah.
I was about to say, oh, there's probably not going to be that many people, but like this neighborhood is choked with dogs. There's dogs
Mm.
everywhere. They're gonna have to go out.
Yeah. That was one thing that I really appreciated when I was a dog walker was that it would force me to go on a walk
Mm,
outside no matter what the weather was.
right.
Yeah. So that's good inspiration.
Yeah, I'm already kind of been trying to hype myself up. Where I'm like, you have boots. It'll be fine to walk around in the neighborhood in the winter. I don't believe it yet, but I'm
Mm.
trying to not panic and be
Mhm.
excited instead. So far, that's hard though, especially because this will be my first winter in the city.
Mhm.
And just sometimes I have to park kind of far from my house. It's just the
Mm.
nature of the thing. And so then I'm already thinking like, okay, so you're just going to have a backup pair of boots like in your car. Like that's just the move so that you're not I just have to be prepared all the time and I have a hard time doing that in the best of circumstances. So I'm already trying to think of different ways in which I can just be more prepared and have like extra layers and like extra shoes so that I'm not absolutely miserable and or hiding in my house for months on end.
Yeah, that's you're doing an excellent job. Look at you like preparing and
Thank you.
knowing what you need
I'm
and
trying.
doing yeah, I think you're
I
doing
looked up
great.
ear warmers the other day because like I have some like fashion
Mhm.
headband things that are supposed to keep your ears warm, but they don't.
Mhm.
You have to layer like a bunch of things. So I was like looking at more winter ones to, especially now with short hair.
Mhm.
Because at least before I had the layer of my hair covering my ears, but right now that's not a thing. So yeah, slowly but surely trying not to panic and instead like just be prepared and excited for winter. But that quick change kind of knocked my confidence a little bit because I just wasn't ready for everything to happen so fast. But it has been beautiful. Like we've gotten some sunny days with like my honey locust trees are starting to tinge yellow at the edges and fall
Mhm.
like through the sunlight. So it has been pretty.
Mhm. Maybe we can get through it together.
Mm, yeah, I can use some moral support.
Yeah. Yes. And we're doing a good job on our way there.
Yeah, sure, trying.
Mhm.
I, how do I want to put, oh, protector part. I had been trying to be very excited about October because, you know, I love autumn and October stuff and spooky season. And then I noticed that I had decided that October was ruined and it just started. And I was shocked to find out where I was having this like, well, you're just not going to enjoy anything in October. So, like, why are you even trying? And I was like, oh, that's vicious. Like, it just started. Like, yeah, we're like barely just past a week in. And I'm like, I already decided to have a bad time. That sucks. So I'm trying to like
That's
pull back on that. Rein it in, pull in a different direction.
Here's a tiny pumpkin uh, for inspiration. The glare from the window.
So
Goodness.
small.
So small. It's little.
Yeah, just teensy. Ah, very cute. Oh.
Of course, that makes me think of that Bo Burnham song. Um, a white woman's Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, where are we headed? That's
Yeah.
right. I forgot about that.
Tiny
I should listen
pumpkins.
to that again. That was such a nice time.
Let's go do that now.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
deal.